Hey everyone, welcome back to the Brass Ass Podcast. The YouTube podcast, folks, that takes you behind the glass to talk about what really makes players and teams succeed. Yeah, I'm Suitcase Ace, former major junior hockey player and current hockey conditioning coach. Today, folks, we're going to be digging deep into something every championship team shares, but no stat sheet ever can measure, right? Measure up to it, and that's building team chemistry. Talent wins games, but chemistry wins seasons. I've lived it. I've seen skilled teams, fall apart, and those average teams really shock the league. So let's talk about how to go from being just another guy or girl on the roster to really becoming the glue that holds your team together. Every team keeps stats on goals, assists, shots, but no one tracks the trust. Yes, it's trust between teammates, between the players and the coaches that really separates contenders from pretenders. When I was playing in the Ontario Hockey League with the Kitchener Rangers, I just arrived on this team from the Western Hockey League, and I was coming from the Spokane Flyers. And when I arrived in the dressing room in Kitchener, it felt like the room was full of strangers. We had some big names on this team as well, by the way. We had Al McGinnis, we had Brian Bellows, and our head coach was Orville Tessier. You know what? This team, we had the skill, but we were barely 500 come Christmas time. Then something changed. One night after a tough loss, another tough loss, right? A few of us went out for some late night wings. We started as 5 guys on the team, right? That turned into a whole team, right? We shared stories, jokes, frustrations, stuff that we've never talked about in the rink. And within weeks, practices felt sharper, right? Guys covered each other. And by February, into March of that year, we went on a 9-game heater, right? I'm telling you, we got hot. And the last regular season game, we won and just made it into the playoffs by 1 point and upset the top seed in the first round. And this team in Kitchener, we went on to win the Ontario Hockey League Championship and made it to the Memorial Cup Finals. And that year, we lost to the Cornwall Royals in the finals. And Cornwall used to be in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. And Cornwall, by the way, was also stacked with future NHL stars, having Dale Howardchuk was on the team, Dougie Gilmore, and Lou Crawford's older brother, Mark Crawford, who, also went on to be a very good head coach in the National Hockey League. The stat that really mattered there, not the goals or the assist. It was the connection. Yeah, the connection that came together with the players away from the rink that built that chemistry. Chemistry, really starts, let's say, where the scoreboard ends. You get into the dressing room before your pregame warm-up, and you normally sit where you normally sit, but sit somewhere else, right? Sit beside someone new on your team and get to know them. In Nashville, our captain, right? Ron Carter. He once played with the Edmonton Oilers. He organized suppers, right? Sunday dinners, and everyone brought a dish, right? Even the rookies and the vets and the trainers, right? It wasn't fancy. Some of us would bring pasta, chili, sometimes pizza, but those dinners, folks, they turned rookies into brothers, made tough road trips feel even easier, right? It's building that chemistry away from the rink. Trust it, it's not announced. I'll tell you, on the ice, chemistry shows up as trust. It really does. You don't talk your way into it. You gotta earn your trust shift by shift. I'll give you a good example, right? We had a rookie defenseman in Nashville who barely spoke. He was just a quiet guy in a corner, but he blocked shots in practice. He hustled in every drill. And he never complained. And by December, us veterans, right, we trusted him more as a rookie than some of the other veterans. When a game, right, was on the line, we'd glance over to this quiet defenseman. He would glance his way for a defensive stop when we talked about defensive zone coverage, right? You know what? That's chemistry, folks. Quiet, earned, and undeniable. You gotta ask yourself, right? Can my teammates count on me every single shift, right? Reliability builds chemistry faster than any speech in that dressing room. This is the chemistry test, conflict. Strong chemistry, folks, doesn't mean zero conflict. You know what? Really, it means dealing with conflict the right way. I once played with two players on my line. They clashed constantly, right? They missed line changes. They chirped each other, after each shift during the game and during practice. It was tough, right? Finally, the coach told them both, right? Sort it out, or you're gonna sit, right? Well, what they did, they grabbed the coffee together, right? They hashed out their frustrations, and they came back tighter than ever, right? The next game, well, we as a line combined for 3 goals and an empty netter. The takeaway on that little story, folks, address issues head on, right? I'll tell you, respectful confrontation strengthens bonds. It does. Silence isn't never good. Silence, it does more harm than good. And leadership, without saying, folks, without letters. I'll tell you why. No, not every player, folks, wears the C or the A, but everyone leads. They lead somehow, right? And small actions matter. And those little things are, pick up the pucks after practice without even being asked. And congratulate a teammate who just got a healthy scratch, right? During a game. And then finally draws back into the lineup. Admit when you blow coverage or made a bad pass. I'll tell you why. So others feel safe doing the same thing, right? Those little signals create environment where everyone feels safe at work, speak, and improve together. That's the heartbeat, folks, really, of chemistry. Here's your challenge for players, right? Next, sit next to the teammate you don't know well on the team, or in the dressing room, or on the bus ride. And before those pregame warm-ups, get to know that player they don't usually come in contact with. Give one genuine compliment after practice to your teammates, right? Now, these small intentional moves really builds trust and connection that no coach can draw on a whiteboard. Because you know what? Chemistry, folks, wins, right? And talent ties. But you got to remember this, right? Talent might get you right on the team, but the chemistry keeps you winning. Winning when the season gets a little long, right? And be the player who strengthens the room on and off the ice. Folks, in the coming weeks, on the Brass Ass podcast, I got a lot of information for you. I got a lot of things that I want to bring out to my Brass Ass listeners. And by the way, we're in 15 different countries, and I have 150,000 listeners right now, and it's building all the time. And you know what? What's coming up in the episodes, we're going to shift from bonding to the game day preparation with game day routines that give you an edge. Along with, we're going to talk about chasing the U.S. hockey scholarship, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to talk about guiding female and male hockey players from both the U.S. and Canada to earn an NCAA scholarship. Folks, you know what? Truthfully, this podcast is all about more than just hockey drills or highlight reels. What it is, it's about the life of a hockey player, the grind, the pressure, the mental battles, the culture, and yes, even the wild stories that happen away from the rink. Until then, folks, you know what? Keep your sticks on the ice and your locker room tight. Yes, I'm your host, Suitcase Ace. This is the Brass Ass YouTube podcast. You have just listened to the rest of the story.